Tuesday, the 13th of May is the second trading day of the week. I am Bosin Omofaye, and this is your Frontier opening bell, in a manner of speaking, kick-starting the day's trading activities across the African, frontier African markets. And just a little bit, again, of a look back to where we started off on Monday, starting the week. The Nigerian market down by 0.25%. That's taking the year-to-date NGX All-Share Index to 5.2%, a positive. MTN shares, Seplat Energies and Lafarge, three of the largest companies across sectors, industrial goods, oil and gas, as well as telecommunications, pull the market back by that merging, despite some active trading that we saw in the banking and financial services space of the market. If you look at the rest of the region, the Ghana stock market was up by 0.3%. The BRVM in Cote d'Ivoire was 0.2% in the green. Out of the West African region, if you look east, you find the Nairobi stock market up by 0.28%. The Dar es Salaam stock market eked out 2 basis points. The Rwanda market was 0.32% positive. In Southern Africa, the GSE, the biggest exchange on the continent, was lifted strongly by financial services, industrial goods as well, 1.9%. Industrial metals and mining stock, where our index was up 3.46%. Big names, Sonjela, Glencore, ProSource, BHP, Anglo American, Sasol, all in the green to start the week on Monday. The rand was down 0.62% on the dollar at 18.52. Then if you take it all the way to the North African market, the Egyptian market started off the week a bit mixed, as it were. But we get on out of the equities market. The big story this morning with the oil prices resuming very strongly over the weekend. Still started yesterday, Monday as well, on the news of that trade truce being reached between Beijing and Washington. That's lifting the risk sentiment of investors for risky assets across the region and around the world. Okay, so that's what the markets look like across the continent on Monday. But let's move on and check in with some of the headlines we're covering for you for today. Is Uganda's central bank will decide today on the interest rate direction. We expect to hear later in the day from Atingo, the governor of the central bank of the Bank of Uganda. In the meantime, big news out of East Africa, Kenya, that Aliko Dangote, Nigeria's billionaire businessman and Africa's billionaire businessman, as well as David Robinstein, has bought Kenya's oldest tourism company. That's Kenya's Pullman Tours and Safaris. It's 100% takeover by Africa Travels, in which Aliko Dangote is a major investor. And European nations are piling into the $250 million Africa Private Credit Fund, according to Bloomberg reports early on a Tuesday. And Kenya's Revenue Authority, the KRA, is in a serious mess, as it were. 474 officials of the revenue agencies been asked to go home. Revenue losses about 2.5 billion shillings per month, due to fraudulent scheme around the country's value-added tax. And that's one of the biggest scandal that's rocking the President Ruto's administration right now. Hundreds of officials of the KRA are implicated in this huge multi-billion shillings fraudulent tax regime. And Watu Holdings in Uganda says its profit jumped 84% to about 157 Ugandan shillings for its full year 2024. And it's a very busy week in Ethiopia with 2 major conferences going on. Invest in Ethiopia, another one around the Ethiopia's Finance Forum. The country says its sovereign wealth funds now crossed the $40 billion in growth, and that's according to the finance minister, Tekaling. So let's see the West African headlines. Saudi Arabia says it's adding 411,000 barrels per day to the global oil markets next month, while OPEC Plus will be adding 410,000 barrels per day in the month of July. Oil prices, however, remain on the upside. Still, the early numbers around the mid levels are somewhat around the $60, 64, 63 between the Brent and the US West Texas Intermediate, while the U.S. President Donald Trump's already touched down in Saudi Arabia for a very quick visit to a few countries within that region. The EBRD, that's the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, starting its annual general meeting today, assesses expansion into Sub-Saharan Africa, which includes Nigeria and Benin Republic, will be driven with an initial $200 million investment. First move out of the Northern African region, where the EBRD is well heeled into the economies of Egypt and Morocco, two of the biggest economies north of the continent. And yesterday, the Africa CEO Forum officially took off in Côte d'Ivoire, Abidjan, the economic and financial capital of the biggest French-speaking economy in West Africa, with a focus on politics. President Ramaphosa, the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, and others in attendance, focus on economy, business, and investment for the continent. And Senegalese president says he's looking at $1.7 billion for digital drive and urges that Africa should have its own digital sovereignty. Liberia says it has a deal on the table with Tangier to upgrade Monrovia and Buchanan seaports in the country. That's under the authorities. While Sierra Leone's largest diamond miner, Koidu, has shut down its operations. More than 1,000 workers have been asked to go home. All right, let's look into Southern Africa. Hotels in Durban are fully booked right now. Thousands of tourists are flooding the Durban city, as it were, from today for the travel in Daba. And ITO Eastern EMP and Petromok says they have an MOU, a deal on the table to build a new refinery in Mozambique, joining the race by African countries to build their own refineries and cut back on multi-billion-dollar annual import of petrol products from Europe and elsewhere in the world. Namibia's central bank on Monday launched a modified 50 Namibian dollar banknotes. Johannes Gewazap, the central bank governor, explained why the 50 Namibian dollar note needs to be remodified for security features and all of that. It goes into circulation with immediate effect. Novotel Hotel says it's entering Zimbabwe in a new property deal with Fidelity Asset Management, of course, which listed on the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. A new report on banking sector in South Africa says that Easy Equities is South Africa's most popular online share trading platform. Let's see what's the big news, big stories this Tuesday across the North African space. The EBRD is backing Egypt's Scatex Obelisk solar project with $30 million equity bridge loan, while Egypt and Qatar says they have looking to explore deeper energy ties, joint investment opportunities between the two countries. And Aya Gold and Silver says is looking at 64% growth in production at Morocco's Uganda silver mine in the first quarter of the year. And the latest in the political face-off between Algeria and France was the diplomatic employees of France have been expelled by the authorities. Algeria, Paris is vowing to retaliate or to respond to that. That news came in early Tuesday. And finally, Libya and Europe said they have inaugurated Medusa submarine cable project linkage between the two countries. And some of the headlines that were pursuing for you this Tuesday as we get on with the business and markets trading day. Make sure whatever you do is profitable for this day and today's weeks and years ahead. Bye for now, everyone.